Days Vault, fellow gamers. Here we are. I finished painting these Cromlech trash things from their Junk City line, and you know, I really like them. I like how they turned out. These aren't dull coated, so there's some little minute things that aren't done. I'll point that out. These little bottles, these green bottles, I have a few of those on these models. I think there's 3 of them, and those are not gloss coated. So those aren't gloss coated, and actually technically neither is the ooze here, because it just has a green wash, like a dark green wash over a Nechrite green. So that's why it's kind of glossy, but not glossy on the raised parts. So I will get that glossed up. Pardon me. And I don't know, when you hit stuff with that that nice dull coat from Testors, it makes it look so much better. I don't know what it is, but you can see, you know, the mushrooms, I went kind of more real world, not the red with the little white dots, you know, the fantasy world stuff. I just went with real world type things. I mean, who knows, you could eat those. But my different washes and whatnot. The yellow, of course, it's always a pain to do when you have a black primer. It takes many coats. So the tires and anything black, like the handle of the screwdriver here, those were just done with a basic black paint. It was just primer, and of course what I did, I primed everything black, dry brushed it all silver. This cold steel. So I just dry brushed everything cold steel, and then I went through and, you know, with the tires and stuff, hey man, apple barrel acrylic paint, just went back over it with black, and then I hit it with the sand. I was also thinking about doing the mud, but I wanted it to pop like it had been weathered a little bit more. So I put the sand on it, and that's very easy to apply. You know, wipe off the excess and stuff like that. What's good about those pigments from Tamiya in the little makeup cases is that you don't need to fix them. They're, you know, you put them on, you can rub off a little bit or whatnot to where it's not so strong, and then you can you just spray right over it. You dull coat right over that. So anyway, I was thinking about maybe changing the color of the canister here for the air, but I rusted it up, and I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Wanted to keep basically a simple palette. You look at this, you have your pops of yellow, you have a little bit of green on some of these, your browns, blacks, your steel, of course, with all the rust, and then the red. So you have reds throughout. And I didn't want to get too crazy with the colors, because if you do that, it looks too busy. Right here, I added, it's a nice dark army green on these canisters, but yeah, it's just gross funkiness. There's still some of that orc, like the inverted triangle or the triangles, and there's more on the edge there. I actually didn't catch those. I could have just trimmed those right off with a hobby knife, but I didn't catch them. Here would be really good if you wanted to add a little poster or something, some propaganda, whatnot. And on here, of course, you had a big orc face. I trimmed that off, and I was going to put some decals on. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to put on. Just some random numbers or something, I suppose. I don't know. And of course, the tufts only went where there was enough ground to validate the tuft. I said, nothing too crazy, just a whole lot of rust smattered around with your basic colors. Here I had to add, this is definitely a German helmet from World War II. I don't know why they equate that with orcs, but yeah, so you got this German helmet here. And I should probably hit that with a little of the yellow sand as well. Some little skulls here and there. Once I hit the dull coat, you won't see that little shiny spot. It'll be nice and gruesome. Some skulls there packed in some sand, I guess. So these barricades are these little piles of trash. I just wanted to sit out there for a long time. That's why I was heavy-handed with the washes, the rust effects. Yeah, just gruesome, trying to keep my lines clean, especially on the barrels, trying to keep those clean. And that's a good part with any kind of painting, is get your base coat down. You gotta have good base coat skills, and then everything else will follow. But you've got to be able to lay down a good base coat. Definitely separate your colors. So I just wanted to share how they turned out. I mean, if you guys remember, this had a gigantic orc weapon on top, and I had to carve that. Oh, there we go. I had to carve out the little crease there as well. So you can't really tell that anything was there, mainly because it's gone. But yeah, all the glyphs and stuff, it does take a little bit of time. Like I said, that one was the hardest one, but they turned out really good, I think. So I really, suggest picking stuff like this up. It adds a lot of character to your table, especially when you take some time, weather it, and all that good stuff. Do the good color separation, because when I was painting these yellow cables, my paint, which I'll show you here, I added too much water to thin it down. It's golden yellow. It's an old school bottle. We all know this is water soluble. It's acrylic. So in order to make these ancient paints last longer, you put a little water in there. And mine was just too thick. It was like kind of trying to paint on mustard. See, now I've got a bunch of air bubbles. So it was too thin. So what I'd have to do is I'd have to go up into the drip cap right here and get some thicker yellow paint, but it would run as well. When I was doing it, it was running all in the lines here. Well, not all in, but I would have to go through and make a thin little brush of red, and then the silver, and then back to the red to clean and tighten it up. Like there was the black, silver, black. I would just have to tighten it up. So after like 5 coats of yellow, it turned out pretty good. And then tighten it up. Just reclaiming all those colors. Doing all that extra work, it is extra work and time consuming, but you get a cleaner looking piece out of it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. If it's fairly inexpensive to pick these things up, and it adds a lot of character to your tabletop. Anyway, you guys take it easy. Carry a laser.